Leather, suede, nubuck, corduroy, canvas, denim, satin, vachetta. Those are all the materials on sneakers that I currently have in my collection. And recently, I just added one to the list. And it's a material that's not usually seen on sneakers, but it's a shoe that Jordan Brand continues to push hard. Air Jordan 2 Low Seersucker. This is like the second or third Jordan 2 Low that I've reviewed in 2023, and I think the mere exposure effect is working. If you didn't know, the mere exposure effect is essentially when a business exposes their product to consumers as often and frequent as possible, and just by looking and seeing the product so often, we subconsciously start to prefer that product over competitors. Now 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have given this shoe a second look, but because I've seen so many Jordan 2 Lows recently, it's become like an everyday sneaker conversation. This one definitely caught my attention. And this Jordan 2 is one of the more unique takes on a shoe that I can remember in recent memory because of the colorway and the material that's used. And this Jordan 2 released on April 8th for $150. I was able to get it on Sneakers app. Not too surprised that they're still sitting. It's not a shoe that I expected to do well at all. I'm probably in the minority of someone that actually paid full price for this shoe. Don't regret it though, and here's why. The colorway of this shoe, summer vibes. The pink is what Jordan Brand calls atmosphere, and this yellowish color is what they call pale vanilla. I guess that makes sense. Really like this colorway. I think after the Jordan 2 UNC to Chicago, this might be my favorite Jordan 2 Low colorway of 2023 so far. So you had the melon tint that I didn't end up grabbing. You had the Jordan 2 Responsibilities, which I think was just kind of a mess of a release. I like this colorway a lot. And of course, the most unique thing about this shoe is not just the colorway, it's also the material. The whole entire upper sole is made out of seersucker material, which is usually made from cotton fabric, and it's usually seen on clothing. So the special thing about seersucker is it's designed to be used in hotter climates, and the way it's woven together, some threads are woven tightly, some aren't, and because of that unevenness, it allows the clothing to stay away from your body. So in hotter climates, it doesn't stick to you, allows better heat dissipation. But on a shoe, not really quite sure if it provides extra ventilation, I doubt it, but I think the main purpose of using seersucker for this shoe is they clearly want it to be a summertime shoe, and seersucker is designed to just be worn in summertime. And if you're wondering how it feels just like a cotton shirt. I can't really comment on the durability of a shoe made out of seersucker. This is the first one that I've owned, made in this material. I do wonder over time how the creasing is going to look on the toe box, as well as whether or not it'll start to kind of rip, and just how strong the seersucker is on the shoe. You have to find out. And as someone that loves leather, I don't mind the seersucker material too much. I don't like it over like suede or nubuck, but I think I definitely like it over canvas or denim. There's something about canvas where the dust is very stubborn when it catches on your shoe. Now this material might have issues of its own when it comes to dust, but I feel like at least when it comes to dust, you can just kind of wipe it off. Stains, that's a different problem. It's like staining your clothes. That becomes annoying. And another name for seersucker is railroad stripes. However, even though it usually comes in a stripe pattern, it can also be checkered pattern. So you see on the upper sole, the front half of the shoe is in that stripe pattern, but the heel counter is in that checkered pattern. I do like how they mix up the pattern. I think if it was all stripes, it'll look too boring, but it just kind of look weird. And even though this Jordan 2 is made out of different materials than what you would usually expect on a shoe, they kept the ventilation of the Jordan 2 the same. So you see the ventilation all around the shoe, as well as on the tongue right under the Wings logo. And one of my favorite things about the Jordan 2 is that Wings logo on the tongue. I think the placement is just awesome. It becomes the focal point of a Jordan 2. And I love the material of the Wings logo. Feels kind of like rubber or like an eraser. And I think in that vanilla color looks really dope. And probably my favorite thing about the Jordan 2 is that heel, the booty of the shoe, has that very unique heel tab and just makes the shoe so much more distinguishable than any other Jordan. The shoe comes with a polyurethane midsole. It is a white polyurethane midsole, not like a sail midsole that I've come to expect from all Jordan shoes now. Very happy about that. I think if they went with a sail midsole, it'll just be too similar to that vanilla color that you see on the heel tab. So because the midsole is polyurethane, it is lighter than like a rubber midsole, like a Jordan 1. So it's a pretty light shoe overall. And you see on the outsole of the Jordan 2, the size of the shoe is also on that cutout. And I've seen on other Jordan 2s where it's a woman's exclusive, it'll still have the men's sizing on the cutout. I wonder when women buy this shoe in the women's category if it comes a men's sizing or women's sizing on the cutout. If you know the answer, definitely comment below. I want to know if Jordan Brand caught that detail this time. I really like the colorway Photon Dust for Nike and Jordan Brand. Every time there's a shoe that heavily features Photon Dust, it always catches a second look from me. Even the most plain shoes like the Air Trainer 1s, they have Photon Dust colorway. Had to grab them. I wear that shoe all the time. Now this shoe does not come with extra laces. I think white laces looks very good on this shoe already If I had to choose another color, maybe I would go with that pale vanilla. Or maybe even the pink, the atmosphere color. I don't know, I can't decide. I would go with the white. I would stick with the default color. And the box of the shoe, a very standard Jordan 2 box. You see the Wings logo on the lid. And probably my favorite part of any Jordan 2 box is the cutout of the lid on the sides, cut in the shape of the wings. Overall though, nothing too special about the box. Now moving on to size and comfort. I'm usually a size 9.5 true to size. I do have wide feet, and I've worn enough Jordan 2s now to know that I have to go up half a size to size 10 for a Jordan 2, because it is a pretty stiff shoe. It does require some break-in time, and for me, it was just too long and too stiff of a shoe for me not to consider going up half a size. And usually if I went true to size, because of the material of the Jordan 2, where this bit is made out of this rubber kind of plastic material, it's not leather, and in this case it's not seersucker. This part where the arch begins gives me some issues, where it can be stiff and it starts to hurt because I have wide feet. And once I finally figured out the sizing of the Jordan 2, very comfortable shoe. There's so much padding on the ankle collar, and the tongue itself is just so squishy, it feels so nice. And this is a pretty lightweight shoe. The cushioning itself, it's got like a Nike Air unit in the heel. It's not the greatest cushioning, but it's not too bad. The insoles are pretty soft, the padding is good. If you have wide feet, I don't think you can go wrong going true to size, but if you went up half a size, I don't think you'd regret it. It just depends on how much you want to break the shoe in. And remember, there's always ways around a shoe that fits slightly too loose. You can wear thicker socks, you can tighten up the laces, but if the shoe is too tight, that becomes a real problem. And the total sole score for the Air Jordan 2 Seersucker is 14 out of 25, one of the lowest scores that I've given a shoe, and I think there are two main reasons for that. Versatility wise, it's not the most versatile shoe. I think the Jordan 2 silhouette is actually pretty versatile, more versatile in my opinion than a regular Jordan 2, but the colorway, it is a little out there, it is more suitable for summer, and the material itself, it definitely just caters to a summertime shoe, and some might equate this colorway to be a bit more feminine. I don't really care about that. I think pink and this pale vanilla looks pretty cool. And the second thing that hurts this shoe in terms of a sole score to no fault of its own is storytelling. There's not much of a story to tell, it's just a general release, it's just a different colorway, it's a summertime colorway, and that's about it. There's no story behind the shoe. And everything else, I think it's a solid shoe. The colorway, as I mentioned, I personally really like it. The material, it's not my favorite, but it's definitely not my least favorite, so it's right down the middle. And in terms of comfort, the Jordan 2, once I got the sizing correct, I think it's one of the more comfortable Jordans, at least from Jordan 1 to 14. In a recent review of the New Balance 9060 Cherry Blossoms, I mentioned I wanted to expand the variety of sneakers that I purchased, and as someone that loves leather, has a strong preference for leather, I never thought I'd be as impressed by a shoe that's made out of a material so off the beaten path, but I really appreciate how different and unique this shoe is. The colorway and material itself is strongly geared for summer, and as someone that lives in the Northeast, where summer lasts like 2 or 3 months at most, I still appreciate that they went for it. So that's it. Thanks for watching Sole Inclined. Like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think of the Air Jordan 2 Low Seersucker. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.